So phone Rebel cases are overrated in my opinion. These cases are better than average and they may be great, but they are not the best. My Gen 5 showed up a couple of weeks ago, and there are a few brutal flaws about this case that really brings it down in the rankings. I'll get into it. Let's talk about product evolution. This is a Gen 3, this is a Gen 4. The variation between these two cases really didn't change much. Mostly the inside. One had rubber, the other had microfiber. With the Gen 5, between these three generations, it's probably the biggest refresh. Now you guys know me, I really like the shape of the iPhone 15. It went from kind of chunky to really smooth. And phone Rebel's cases dig the exact opposite. Smooth, sleek, chunky. Other things to note, there's a metallic decorative logo that goes through the entire back of the case. Kind of curious for the people who have this case. Have you checked the back of your iPhone? Does this scratch it? On the inside, the Gen 5s have microfiber again, which was the difference from the Gen 4, which had a rubber inset. The Gen 3s had microfiber. The Gen 2s had rubber. I really don't remember what the Gen 1s were. Personal preference is to have a case with microfiber in it because it just prevents scratching better than rubber from my perspective. Other things to note is that this protective camera ring is now made out of metal and there's screws on the back of it. Can I remove it? Sure can. Cool, I guess. Phone Rebel is going to charge you another like 15 bucks to customize this now. Now I got to put it back together. This is annoying. Yes, I know, nobody asked me to take it off. Now there is one update to this case that is an absolute cardinal sin from my perspective, and I'll talk about it in the next section. All right, now getting to your iPhone in this case is pretty great, most of the time. Phone Rebel maintains the floating buttons, so they feel really nice. The buttons seem to have a bit more indentation than previous versions, and the action button on the Pro versions of the iPhone 15s also has a floating button. With the Gen 5, the corners of the case are very pronounced. This is Gen 4, this is Gen 5, and the corners just look like they come out of nowhere on the Gen 5s. Which means if you're running your finger along the case edge, it just like the corners just pop. Kind of annoying. In reality, it's a double-edged sword because you get amazing access with your screen, but when you're mucking about down here, it's very noticeable. Now, the one thing that I really appreciate about this case are the case edges. They sit very flush with screen protectors. So flush, like it's almost like there's nothing there. Like, this is awesome. I've got a flow-up 3D screen protector and you can barely see it. Like, it's so cool. Now, when I say phone access is good most of the time, Phone Rebel screwed this up. The cutout for the bottom of the iPhone is way too small. With this case, 3 out of my top 5 cables do not work with this product. This cutout is just way too small. And I'm not talking about a mundane brand. Like seriously, why? That's a cardinal sin, right, Monty? Making the cutout too small on the bottom of a case? Who does that anymore? Even my top cable barely fits. Like, it is borderline not gonna. The biggest change in terms of grip with the Gen 5 are the tire treads that Phone Rebel added. If you're using the Gen 3 and 4s, you would have been used to the nice smooth edges. With the Gen 5s, it feels like, well, there's tire treads on it. I'll be honest with you, the grip feels terrible from my perspective. The Gen 4s had a lot of texture, which helped with the grip. This grip strip on the Gen 5s, just too much. Like, it feels like a durian in my hand. But if all you care about is just having a really good handle on your device, the grip does a great job. Now, when it comes to finish, I do have another gripe with the Gen 5s. I've been testing a ton of different carbon fiber backed products, and this Gen 5 scratches way too easily. I've been using my gauntlet of phone grips, and I haven't had this case for a very long time. You could definitely see where the phone grip sits. If you want to know how easy it is to scratch, keep watching. Now, despite the flaws, this is a good case. I'm a reviewer, not influencer, so I have to pick on the things that are terrible about it because that's what I do. The seams on this product are almost non-existent, so Phone Rebel definitely took the time to like make the mold lines as tight as possible. The addition of the metallic ring as well as the metal emblem on the bottom is a nice touch. It's just aesthetics. Adds a bit of class. And the case fits the iPhone incredibly tightly. Like, the only way to take this case off, you can't do it from the bottom, you have to do it from the top. Now, I would have given this product top marks in terms of build quality, but when it comes to the scratch resistance of the back, this thing will scratch at a Mohs level of 3. That's not good. Mouse, it looks like it's scratching, but it's really just the finish. Pitaka, later case. Out of that group of carbon fiber cases, this thing scratches the easiest, which is just brutal. Let's talk about how tough it is. When it comes to protecting your iPhone, the Gen 5 is going to do a bang-up job. The case is very rigid. Tightness of the case means it's going to stay on. Oversized corners are going to provide extra screen protection. The TPE on the inside of the case is going to add extra drop protection. That's this blue stuff. I'll note that the TPE only occurs in the corners, not in the edges, which is something that Mouse does. They got TPE everywhere. But this thing is like a triple layered case, so go ahead, drop your iPhone, be mean to it. All right, in conclusion, I like the case. Despite its misgivings. The price of this case has gone up steadily over the last few years. I think it started off as like $45. This thing was maybe 50 around there. This is 70 now. Now, Phone Rebel does include a screen protector, which comes from the same factory as FlowLab, I believe. So it's a decent screen protector. And with all the build quality, this is a decent product. So that's all I got for this video. Questions, comments, leave them down there. Hit the notification bell so that every single time I show up on the internet with a dog wearing a tie, you get notified.